I will fully admit there's no God. The whole idea of God seems about as ridiculous to me as Santa Claus does to a sixth grader. The whole idea of religion to me seems about as stupid to me as monarchies. None of that shit makes sense to me. And it's dangerous. That's why I'm an anti-theist, because faith makes no sense. If you're going to say something, I want proof of that. If you can't give proof, and you have a logical reason why you can't give proof, then that makes sense to me. If you're anonymously donating money to people, and they found out about it, and it would either ruin their reputation, or your reputation, then I understand why you would keep your secrets. Photographing people eating the food you give them when they live on the streets is rude. So I don't do that. If I give somebody food, I do it because I want them to be happy and to know that there are people that understand. I also want people to understand that atheists aren't bad people, just on the fact that they're atheists. And I want to feel the dopamine dump and the serotonin pouring through my body from my brain from doing a good deed. The rest of it doesn't matter to me. You don't have to trust me. If you see me doing good, please, by all means, take a picture. Take a video. If you see me doing bad, tell the police. If I'm doing bad, you need to tell the police. Telling me doesn't make any difference. If you want to argue with me about something, that's not going to work to your benefit, because you should argue with the people that understand things. There's this college professor that wants to argue with Senator Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez about economics. But that doesn't make any sense to me, because Andrea Ocasio-Cortez is not an economist. And she's a senator who could probably, within 5 minutes, find an economist to argue with the economist that wants to argue with her about economics. That's what the guy should do. But he wants to argue with a senator to make himself look good. It would be easy enough to find a professor that would put him in his place, especially if you have the clout of being a congresswoman. Especially a congresswoman that's incredibly famous right now for being the youngest congresswoman in the Senate at 28 years old. So argue with the experts. Don't argue with the people that are not experts. She's not an expert. She's a congresswoman. She's bright, but she's not a college professor. So that's my point. If you really want to argue with somebody about Christianity, argue with a priest and set up a meeting. Don't argue with people that are trying to do what they perceive as God's work. Don't even argue with people who are just out there doing their damn job so you can get your shit done. If you're an atheist, just let it go, man. Or go on the internet and argue with people. Because if you're out in public arguing with every bank teller and every waiter and waitress and every bus driver and everybody on the street, as an atheist in the United States, you have to realize that when you meet people, 90% of them, maybe 90%. I haven't looked at the stats. 75% about are going to be Christians. But about 90% of the people you meet as an atheist believe in God. So if you're out there trying to argue with 90% of the people that you come in contact with, you either, one, need to get the internet and do it logically, or go live in the woods away from urban society and just not talk to people, because that's not what the outside environment is for. If you're out there looking for the differences in people in order to have an argument, you don't understand life. It's okay to be an atheist, and it's okay to be a Christian. But if you're not doing good deeds and have a sense of humility about it, it doesn't matter if you're an atheist, agnostic, a Muslim, a Jew, a Christian, or whatever, or a Satanist. I've met plenty of Satanists that are bad people, and I've met Satanists that are good people. I've met Christians that are good people, and I've met Christians that are bad people. I've met atheists that are bad people, and I've met atheists that are good people. None of that matters. The argument should be with good people versus bad people. If they're bad, then argue with them. If they're out there helping you in some way, just let it go. Because you're going to, as an atheist, encounter people who believe in God. And if you encounter people that believe in God, well, that means that you have encountered people. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to meet somebody who believes in God. That's why I don't really like agnostics when they talk about atheism and Christianity and religion, because while I agree with them on the point of theism and religion, I don't agree with them on their point on atheism and anti-theism. If you're an atheist, you're an anti-theist. Well, I'm sorry, if you're an anti-theist, you're an atheist, period. Not all atheists are anti-theists, because there are atheists that think that faith is a good thing in something like maybe astrology or the inner good of people. I don't believe any of that shit. I'm a total skeptic when it comes to every individual thing that requires faith. And I understand people that are. But if you're rude about it, then there's no point in talking to you. If you're hostile or violent, you're rude. So, as an atheist, you have to realize that 90% of the people that you come into contact in the United States believe in God. If you just leave them alone, go on the internet, or go off in the woods and talk to yourself, you're going to have no problems. You're either an atheist, a theist, or an agnostic. There is nothing else. Some atheists are also agnostic. But some atheists are also Gnostic, and there are some theists that are agnostic. And if you're agnostic, you're either an atheist and something else. You're either an atheist agnostic or a theist agnostic. There's no in between. If you're an anti-theist, you are an atheist. If you're an apatheist, you are an atheist or an agnostic. Or an agnostic atheist. Because if you're an agnostic, you are either an atheist or a theist. The fact that you can't admit that makes you dishonest intellectually. As an atheist, if you're an agnostic, do not argue with me about atheism, because I will bury you. If you're so reasonable as an agnostic, get together with all the other agnostics in the world, solve homelessness, make everybody happy, then talk to me about how you're a reasonable person. Because otherwise, you just need to shut up. If you're an atheist and you're out there arguing with everybody that believes in God, you're a problem. That's what the internet is for. That's what being alone in the woods is for. The rest of it doesn't matter. You're interrupting people's lives. You're being disruptive. Anybody that disrupts other people's lives is a troll. You don't have to go into their territories. If you go into a territory of somebody that is disruptive, that's your fault. You have to take the brunt of that with you wherever you go. If you go into a church and they're preaching God and it bothers you so much that you have to argue with them, then don't go to that church. If you're going to a Christian barbecue or event sponsored in the name of Christianity and you have to argue with those people while they're giving you food, then you're better off alone, because you're a nuisance. I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't care if you're agnostic. If you have to argue with people about their religion as they're being cruel, that's fine. If you're arguing with people about their religion while they're being benevolent, that's not okay. So just know, as an atheist, everybody that you talk to is probably going to be a theist. And you're awake 18 hours a day, man. You have to come into contact with people most of the time that you're awake. 90% of that time, you're going to be encountering people who believe in God. Go online, go in the woods, or only associate with other people like you, because you have to understand that you have to move beyond atheism to understand life.